Welcome back, and if you're new here, my name's Greg. Welcome to my charcuterie cabinet. So I got a few salamis, got some loins, got some pancetta, guanciale, some prosciuttos. So before we get to throwing this on the scale, which is mostly what I'm going to do in this video, let's see what's come out of here in the last month. This is a Lonzino, otherwise known as a pork loin. It's got fall flavors like cinnamon, nutmeg, some cardamom, anise. This has been curing for 6.5 months, or rather it's been drying for 6.5 months. It's lost 35% of its original weight. It is fall flavored. I would like to be eating it. It's perfectly good to eat right now. However, I do usually like to mature them further or equalize them, because this fatty side is always a little softer than the lean side, which is always a little more rigid. Oh wow, I can really smell that. It almost smells fruity. When I go to put this in a vacuum sealed bag to further mature it or equalize it, this mold is going to die because it needs oxygen. So if it dies, it's going to get slimy. It's going to put an off-putting taste to it. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of, I'm going to use some red wine because I don't really want to introduce vinegar flavors to this right now at this point. And I'm just going to give it a quick brushing with some red wine where I see any of that mold. Actually, I think I'm just going to put a little bit of red wine over the whole thing. I don't think it can really hurt. Give that a quick blot with paper towel. Let's see what she looks like inside. I don't usually slice up a whole loin at a time, so I like to make it into more manageable pieces. I can see how last year I definitely could have taken more cap fat off. That said, it is really good. It's really tasty. Let's see how thin of a slice I can get with a knife. I use a slicer really when I make this. I'm not going to get my slicer off for one slice. Well, that's pretty much all fat. It's so creamy. I know it's more fat than you're going to usually find on a Lonzino. It's probably more fat than should be on there. On this year's pig, I am taking more of that cap fat off. But in any case, I'm going to vacuum seal these. Probably bust into one pretty soon because I want to share it now. It's the right time of year. This flavor profile goes great with Thanksgiving flavors, Christmas flavors. Anywhere you might have a mulled apple cider, this is going to go great. And what I have here is what I'm calling a garlic culatello. Culatello is the big muscle on a leg on the ham. It is a prosciutto. Some would say it's the king of prosciuttos, but let's see what it's all about here. And you notice there's a bunch of this crumbly stuff coming off, and that is the sunya layer. And sunya is lard and rice flour mixed together. Most things I've seen after the original drying, people take it out of the original casing and just apply the sunya. But when I did that, I had a really hard time getting the sunya off of the actual meat. So what I've done here is I put the sunya on the outside of my collagen sheet. So in theory, once I get the collagen sheet off, that should take most of the, that should take all the sunya with it. So hold on, let me go clean this up real quick, even though it'll make another mess. This culatello has been aging in my drying chamber for 18 months now, and it's lost 35% of its weight. And I'll probably try to mature it, equalize it for another 18 months, at least 9 months. See, maybe this one didn't get a collagen sheet. You know, I'm thinking this might not have had the collagen sheet still on it. I'm thinking putting the sunya on the outside of the collagen sheet is something I started doing since then, because this was 1.5 years ago. Go get a butter knife, see if I can scrape off that sunya. Shouldn't be too much of it on the fat side. Yeah, this was definitely done the traditional way of putting the sunya right on the meat. But man, I like that new method. It seems to work much better. I've scraped off what I could of that sunya from the culatello. The sunya, as it dries, forms a bit of a crust. Once you start scraping that outer layer, it becomes soft, like a lard or, butter-like almost. What I am going to do here is just take some red wine and my brush and see if I can't get that last bit up. I don't know. Because, like I said, I've started to just put the sunya on the outside of my collagen sheet. And that way, when I take the collagen sheet, all the sunya comes off with it. Because the last time I had one of these that had the sunya right on the meat, I couldn't really get it off. I did have this little layer of Sunya on the outside. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but I kind of don't want it there, and I don't know how to get the Sunya all the way off. I haven't been able to. But the collagen sheet underneath the Sunya works great. That's how I've been doing it more recently, but this is a really old one. I had it in my cabinet for 1.5 years. And I've changed some of the things I do in that last 1.5 years based on things I've been learning. Oops, forgot to put my mic on. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. Be back in a minute. As I was washing my brush off, I was realizing how it needs hot water to really get that fat out of there. And I thought, maybe I'll rinse this under some hot water. Just a quick rinse, because I don't want to soften the fat too much or anything like that. But I did, and it did seem to help get the last little residual, most of the last of the residual Sunya off of it. I think I still like that collagen sheet underneath, but we'll see how it does on a longer cure. Like I said, I've done it on a few smaller hams, but not on a whole big culatello. All right, let's take a look at it. It's a pretty nice color inside. Tell me you wouldn't want to eat that. That's smelling really good. Perhaps I could have taken more of this fat off too. Would like to use the slicer, but I'm not getting the slicer out for just one little piece. I'm definitely going to be maturing this because got 18 months invested. I might as well invest another 9 to 18. It's really amazing how much the garlic comes through. I'm going to seal these up, stick them away for a while. Got my culatello vacuum sealed. Wrote down what it is. I wrote down today's date. And 18 months from now, that's how long I would like to mature this, equalize it. That will help soften up that harder side, but also it will continue to mature and develop its flavor. I made an 18-month one. I have not yet aged something for 3 years. Excited in the year 2025 to give this a try. I also vacuum sealed my loins. This one probably not going to mature its whole time just because it's fall flavors and it's fall now, and I'm going to want to bust this up. If not for Thanksgiving in a few weeks, then, you know, at least for Christmas. It will mature some. I'll let the other one go, but the real deal is the time to start these is in the fall, because about 6 months-ish to dry, another 6 months-ish to mature. I started them in the spring, and that's the wrong time to start a fall flavor Lanzino. Honestly, I didn't think they were going to take quite so long to dry, but I think the amount of fat that I left on here made it take a lot longer than previous loins that I've dried. So, you know, you live, you learn. You watch some videos, you learn. You learn more by doing it than watching, and now I know. This is an elk salami. It's actually truffle and black garlic elk salami. Got a really nice coating of the Penicillium nalgiavensis, the white mold. And I've learned a little bit about this mold, which I'll show you on some of the other salamis. For now, I'm going to write down the weight. Okay, that one's 495. That one's 508. These elk salamis have both lost about 35% of their weight in the last like 3.5 weeks, which honestly has me a little concerned that they may be drying a little fast. And I really hope I don't have a dry ring going on. I don't know. Subscribe to my channel. I'll have one of these videos coming up pretty soon. I have here is a traditional style pepperoni. See, its white mold is definitely present, but not as vigorous as that other one. And this was the end of a package that I've had for a while, and that other one is brand new. Apparently, the white mold does not stay good as long as the starter cultures. Starter cultures can go way past their expiration date. Mold, not so much. So this one has lost 28% in about 6 weeks. See, that's why I'm a little worried about those elk ones, is they've lost 35% in just over 3 weeks. So this, I know, is going to be delicious and perfect. No dry ring. I don't think it will. I'm a little nervous about that elk one. And if you're keeping track, this has lost another 11% of its weight since last month when I measured it to check out my charcuterie October video. So here's a mild calabrese salami. Again, the white mold from the older package, not as vigorous as the one out of the new package. Still there, no bad mold, so we're okay. All right, well, if you're keeping track, this has also lost 11% of its weight since the last time I measured it for the October video. It's right now at 35%, which, that's not bad for salami. I generally like to let mine go to 38 to even 42. The drier it is, the harder your salami will be. But this is perfectly edible. Probably be a video on this coming up real soon. So if you want to see that, make sure to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Sopressata. This one should be pretty spicy. I'm looking forward to this one. And you can see it definitely got a little flatter on this side than on this side. Flatter, not as flat. This one is also at 35%, just about ready to come out. And it also, if you're keeping score, has lost 11% since the last weigh-in in October. Well, actually, I've weighed it since then, but the last time I weighed it on camera. If you want to see that video, you know what to do. If you missed this video, it's no one's fault but your own. Moving right along to some guanciale. Let's see where this is at. This has been in here for 3 months now. This one has lost 22% of its weight. I like to take guanciale down to 25% at least. I'll take it to 30 if it'll go, but usually there's so much fat it just stops losing weight. But 22% right now. It's been in there 3 months. And if you're keeping track, this has lost about 2.5% of its weight in the last month since the last weigh-in. Here's the other jowl from that pig. It's a little smaller due to the amateur butchering job of myself and my abilities. And this one has lost 25% of its weight. It could come out now. I might leave it in, see if it'll keep getting more flavor, drying out some more. I have some guanciale still that I can cook with. If you're keeping track, this has lost 2% of its weight in the last month since I weighed it for my October video. What I got here is the capicola, the copa muscle, the gabagool, whatever you want to call it. And this is from the pig known as Brownie, the old spotted Gloucestershire cross. And I forgot to write down the weight last time, but it wasn't ready. And it's now at 35.5% weight loss. This has taken 7 months to get here. And if you're keeping track, this has lost 1.5% of its weight in the last 2 months. So the drying really slows down once it gets going. I think I'm going to pull this one out. Stick around to the end of the video and we'll take a look at the inside. All right, what I have here is a pancetta areola. It's the rolled one. This is off that same old spotted Gloucestershire pig. We're at 25% weight loss. Yes, this has been in there for 7.5 months now. 25% weight loss, pretty good for a pancetta. It's not losing much weight at this point. I don't know though, it's looking okay. I might just leave it in there for a little bit because again, I got some pancetta and it'll keep drying. It'll keep developing flavor. We'll see what happens. I'll think on it. It might be there for next month's video. We'll see. Here's a pancetta areola from the big black red wattle cross from last year. This one has lost 20% of its weight in the last 7.5 months. So it's pretty slow going. That's because of how much fat this pig had. The spotted Gloucestershire had more marbled fat, but this one had more fat and it's making it take longer to dry. This has lost 1% since last month when I weighed it in on that video. This has also lost 1% since that last video, and it's at 23% altogether. And the final piece of pancetta from that pig. And this piece also has lost 1% since I weighed it in last month's video, but it's only at 17% moisture loss. This one's going to take quite a while. That's okay. Time is flavor, as long as it stays good. And these ones I did wash off. These were a little moldy in that last video. If you want to see how I cleaned them up, feel free to check out my video about moldy charcuterie. If you're wondering how I figure out the moisture loss, I take the weight it is now and I divide that by the original weight. That tells me how much weight is left. So if I subtract that by 1, that tells me how much moisture has been lost. That's how I figure out moisture loss. Now moving on to the culatello and the fiocco from the big black red wattle cross. The way I figure the weight on these with the sunulaire, which is lard and rice flour mixture, Most of my charcuterie doesn't have that, but the hams do. So what I do is I take the weight it is now, 3460. Now I subtract the weight that the sunya was when I put it on. And now I divide that by the starting weight. And again, -1. All right, we're at 31.6% moisture loss. Which I'll round to 31.5. So if you're keeping track, this has lost 1.5% of its weight in the last month since my last charcuterie cabinet video. This has been in there for 7.5 months. Now I'll do the same for the fiocco. And the fiocco is currently at 34.5% moisture loss, and it's lost 2.5% in the last month. Now we'll move along to the fiocco and the culatello from the old spotted Gloucestershire cross. This is at 35%, been 7.5 months. It has lost 2% in the last month since the last weigh-in. I'm going to think about taking this one out. And now the culatello from that animal. This here is at 32% weight loss, and it too has lost 2% in the last month. So this is going back in. And this is a culatello from a small pig. This culatello is just about the size of those other fioccos. And I was really sad last year when my friend gave me their smallest pig. But they made up for it this year. Watch my Tranquility on the Pig Farm video if you want to see this year's pig. But this year they gave me the biggest pig. Made up for getting the smallest one last year. But this culatello, definitely keeping this one out. It's 39% weight loss. And this has been in there for 10 months. 10 months and 1 week to get to this 39% weight loss. Now, just one more to go. The big boy, the whole leg. The oldest resident, the one that might just get tossed out. I'm really afraid about how this one's going to come out. Just because I didn't butcher it right. You know, it's got bone in here. I'm just nervous about the bone. I'm nervous this is not going to be good. And that it's just been taking up space. Time will tell. Still losing a little bit of weight, not much. So this has been in there 21 months. It's lost 36 grams over the last month, which is 0.4%. It's at 28.6% since I put it into my cabinet. It is at 37.5% weight loss since I very first started it because it lost a lot in the salt cure process. Really not sure when to take it out. Trying to let it get to 30% since it went into my cabinet at 0.2 or 0.4 per month. It's still got some months to go. So I'll put it back in there for now. And like I said, I don't have high hopes for this. I'm afraid I might end up just tossing it. I'm hoping that I'll know just when I cut into it. Time will tell. Anyway, let's cut into these ones I took out. Before I cut into those, I wanted to show you. I've had people ask what I do with my test pieces. Pieces I use to test pH. Sometimes I cover them in cornmeal, kind of like you would with a patina. Sometimes I just wrap them up in a little bit of leftover collagen sheet. Truth is these are very small. They dry pretty quick. Patina is an excellent salami, but although these are kind of treated like a patina, they're not. I don't soak them in the red wine. They don't have the flavor profile. They are what they are. You know, I eat them. They make an okay snack, but they're never as good as the actual salami I'm making, so I don't usually put it in the video. Well, ready to cut into this copa. See what he's looking like inside. You'll notice when I do the fiocco and the culatello that there's a lot of crusty stuff comes off because it's got that sunya layer. This has no sunya layer. This comes off much cleaner. Once you get the collagen sheet off, you're done. Unless you want to equalize it or mature it, which I will be doing. In which case, I'm going to need to get this white mold off. There's a little bit has come through. The collagen came off pretty easily. It's always a little firmer on the muscle side. Obviously the fat is still nice and soft, but I will be washing this mold off just like I did in the beginning of the video. Just again, take a little bit of red wine and I'm just gonna wash this white mold off because I don't want it to die inside of my vacuum seal bag, turn slimy and leave some off-putting flavors. I'm gonna blot that off with a paper towel. Gonna set that aside to dry a bit before I cut it open and vacuum seal it. So before I cut it open, I'll move to the fiocco and that culatello I'm taking out. Don't know if I said 9 months or 10, but it's actually 9 months when I actually did the math. Just over 9 months, 9 months and a week or so for the Sculatello. I believe I have the collagen sheet under the Sunya layer on this one, which hopefully will just be a lot easier to deal with. See, it does make a bigger mess like I was saying. Here's the collagen sheet. And that's just going to let that that's going to take the Sunya off. And look what's under there. A nice, clean, bright. That's what I'm going for. Of course, there's not a lot of Sunya on this top side because you don't need it where the fat is. Let's see if it comes off the rest of it as easily and cleanly. I don't want to dip this into my crumbs and have the crumbs stick, although I guess not the end of the world, easy enough to wipe off. Oh yeah, look at that. Look what's under there. Nice, bright pink. I think this Sunya on top of the collagen sheet is a much easier way to get a nice, clean, finished product. I'm liking that. Can tell this is going to benefit from maturing. And I don't think I'm going to cut it open for you because I want to cure this all just whole like it is. It smells really good, I'll tell you that. And the Fiocco. Again, the Fiocco is the small muscle from a ham. The Culatello is the biggest muscle on the ham. So when you bone out a ham, you basically get the big muscle. You basically get a big side and a small side. I mean, there's kind of 3 muscles. A big one, a small one, and some sausage grind. Anyway, this Fiocco is about the same size as that last Culatello. So it gives you an idea, 100-pound pig, roughly, versus a 400-pound pig, roughly. Because the last one was from like a just over 100-pound pig. And actually, this isn't a 400-pound one, but close. The pig I just got from my friends up there was pretty much 400 pounds. This was probably at least 300, probably over 300 really. And once we take off this collagen sheet, we have some nice, pure, pink, clean looking meat. I'm really liking this technique. I'm liking it better than taking that collagen off and putting the Sunya right on the meat because that's really, really hard to clean up that way. And this is just coming out really nice and clean. Smells great. Still slowing it down and it's drying. I mean, seems to be doing what the Sunya has to do, but it's coming off much better. So I hope I'm not making a terrible mistake doing that. I mean, generally, if Eric and you guys in the cooler is doing something, that's usually the way I do it, but I haven't seen him doing it this way, but sure seems to leave a cleaner product to deal with. It's really hard to get that Sunya off the meat. A lot easier to just get this collagen casing off. Well, I'm not going to cut this open either because it's small. I'm going to leave it whole. I'm going to wash off any residual mold I see on here, vacuum seal it, and mature it. Fall flavored gabagool, whatever your chosen name for this is. Cured pork neck. Oh yeah, have a look at that. That's just beautiful. That fat pattern, that's what your gabagool, capicola, that's what it's going to look like. These are all the little muscles leading up to the head and all the fat that's connecting those muscles together. It is a little drier. It's always a little bit drier on the lean side. That's why that darker color. But that should even out a bit over the next 7 months of equalizing, which will just increase this flavor. And can't wait to eat these. Although, like I said, oh no, this is not the fall flavored gabagool. This is the fennel anise. I didn't think it smelled like fall. Anyway, gonna equalize this for a few months, let it chill out and finish maturing, and I'll be excited to eat it then. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. If you want to see the sopressata, calabrese, that elk salami, or any of the other videos I have coming up out of there, make sure to subscribe, ring that notify bell to make sure you get notified of any more content. Put some love into your food. Peace.